Well, it seems like the story this, goodness, last couple of weeks has just been lots of 30 below zero or colder temps, lots of wind. You know, I've been joking that it's not fit for man or beast. I mean, it's just been brutal conditions. You know, when it gets that cold, especially with wind chills, 50 below zero, you know, there's kind of a assumption, I guess, that it affects the fishing, the fish won't bite. What I find is that it doesn't affect the fish at all. I mean, the fish will still bite. You can have some great bites when it's really cold. The hard part is finding fish. You know, the hard part is moving around. The hard part is, you know, just the toll that those types of conditions will take on your equipment. And so the big thing, I think, is, you know, you just have to pick your spots, maybe fish a little bit more methodically, in the sense that, you know, you set up a house, turn the heat on, get out of the elements, give a spot half an hour, see if you can run some traffic, and if not, you know, make a move. And so your whole day, your whole process is really slowed down when the conditions get tough. But once you find fish, oftentimes they'll bite. There we go, good fish. Come on up. Oh, you know, just kind of a classic 1-2 punch. You know, jigging that flutter spoon to pull fish in. If they don't hit that, try to get them on the dead stick. And it is blowing outside. Definitely, it'd be tricky to fish outside today. So it's nice to hunker down some days, be comfortable. You know, so when you take 30-mile-an-hour winds, when you take 30 below zero, might not look like a lot of fun, but I can guarantee you this: if you can get out there safe and get out there comfortably and get set up inside of a shelter, you can have a lot of fun. And the big thing is just make sure that you're equipped for the conditions. We've all seen or heard the horror stories of a hub blowing across the lake in 40-mile-an-hour winds. Make sure that you use thermal fabric. And so thermal fabric's gonna be a lot warmer, a lot less condensation, because again, when it gets that cold out, that propane just has a lot of condensation. And so thermal fabric is a must, okay? If you're living in Minnesota, northern Wisconsin, the Dakotas, where you get a lot of cold weather and you plan on fishing on the tough days in the winter, make sure that you go thermal fabric. One other piece of equipment that I really like, especially on flip overs, which I think flip over is a little bit more durable in the wind, is these S2B shack anchors. They're not a sponsor, they just sent them up to me and I love them, but they bolt right on the side of your tub. And then basically what you do is you put this bracket in, you just take an anchor that you'd use for like a hub fish house and just crank that into the ice, and that'll really stiffen up your house where it won't want to rock in the wind, and it'll keep your shelter from blowing away. And so S2B anchor when you have strong winds. The other thing is when it gets really cold, you know, whether you're using a buddy heater, whatever you're using, is don't mess with the 1-pound propane tanks. When it gets really cold, you just don't have a lot of pressure. Plus, you're going to be changing them nonstop. Plus, those 1-pound tanks have gotten really expensive over the last year. And so run a 20-pound tank and run a hose. And a lot of times what I like to do is put my tank in a crate and keep the tank and the crate in the tub, again, for added weight, especially when it's really windy. And then just run that hose out on the ice with your heater. And so that 20-pound tank is going to give you a lot better pressure when it gets 20, 30 below zero, because when it gets that cold, things are going to want to break and things are not going to want to work. And so make sure that you just streamline your system so you're prepared for the elements. Oh, love it when they do that. That one just screamed in. There we go. That's just a perfect eating size fish right there. Probably about a 10-inch perch. I can do this all day long. Adding up, I almost have enough for a meal. And I wouldn't say this water's super clear, but it's pretty decent visibility. So I'm going with that ribbon spoon. That's just a kind of a high action flutter spoon. Just working that up off the bottom. Trying to call them in with this, and you know, it's kind of a 1-2 punch. Some fish will hit the spoon, some fish they'll hit the dead stick. You'll kind of see that sometimes change throughout the day. So, you know, take a lot of these perch sloughs especially, and you even see this on bowls and basins where you have crappies and bluegills suspended over that basin. There's a lot of times that transition, that edge, if you can imagine, it's almost like a fence where it keeps the fish from going any further. It's almost like they just swim around in a circle on the edge of that basin or on that transition. And so a lot of times I like to set up on that. I love inside turns, inside corners, inside turns on points. You know, whenever you have a corner, it seems like it funnels or pinches that movement, almost like if you're picking a location for a deer stand, okay? If you pick the location where you just have that flow of fish, you know, every half hour, every hour, if you just get a wave of fish come underneath you and you can pick some off, end of the day, they're gonna add up and you can do really well sitting in one spot. And that's been kind of the mantra that's been preached for the last few years, ice fishing is move, 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 drill holes, be mobile. When it's 30, 40 below zero, it's a lot harder to be mobile. So you have to pick your spots carefully. Dead stick strikes. Oh yeah, there's a jumbo. Look at that. That is cool. 1-2 punch. That is just gorgeous. Yep. Dinner is served.